It's time for Karl.
It's showtime.
All right. Karl's brought a lot of goodies today, including, how you doing, Karl, first of all?
I am great. I'm excited to be back on TDLS, my favorite show.
How are things going, by the way, in the Dabbleverse? Any news this week?
Oh, my. Things are always going on in the Dabbleverse. In fact, my buddy Tukey was away for a couple of weeks. He's back tonight. Tukey Soup is back.
Oh, great.
Yeah, so
I like Tukey Soup. Tukey Soup is really, I don't know, I never thought, could I really enjoy a puppet doing something? And
it's one of the better shows, for real.
He's really creative.
Yeah, he's very good.
The puppet, I feel like I saw his head get in the screen briefly at one point, and I was like, wait, there's a person attached to that puppet? What the fuck?
Ruined it for you?
He really comes to life, doesn't he?
Yeah, the fourth wall being broken was disappointing. I got over it, though. No, the puppet is great. And is Tukey the real? I don't want to know what Tukey's name is, by the way, in real life. Is Tukey the person as funny as Tukey the puppet?
Yeah, he was staying with us at the Airbnb when we were doing the show down in Largo. And it's so bizarre. We get up the day of the show, and we're all sitting kind of in the same common area, prepping for the show, pulling clips, discussing what we're going to go over. And that guy is just on the phone with this guy, Big Black from the Howard Stern show, does his show. So he's calling into that and doing a Big Black impression. And then he's calling Joey C on the phone and doing a Joey C impression to Joey C. He's just constantly on. It's hilarious.
But he's not always Tukey-like.
No, he does a lot of different voices. I just did a show with him the other day where he was doing Tukey as Kevin Brennan.
Oh,
Tukey put on a bald cap, pretended to be Kevin Brennan.
And how's Kevin doing? Is Kevin still angry as always?
Kevin's angry as always, although I checked it on the show just now, and they have Doug Stanhope on, so that's a big get.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, Doug's great.
And actually, I got to say, I was surprised by this. So I just checked in real quick to see who they had on the show. Doug looks good. I don't know how that happened.
Really? He always looks better than he should.
Right, considering his lifestyle.
Yeah.
And maybe he's just putting it on or something, but yeah, he looks like he's doing well.
No, Doug's a lot of fun. We pre-promoted some of Doug's shows here, and he always sold out, did really well. And now, does Doug participate in Kevin's malaise and anger stuff, or does Doug do his own thing when he's on there?
Well, as you know, Doug definitely has a similar attitude as Kevin towards the business. I guess Doug hasn't done stand-up in over a year either, and Kevin's retired from stand-up. But the quick part I caught was Kevin explaining to Doug that stand-up is gay now. Doing stand-up is gay.
Okay.
Doug wasn't understanding that concept.
Is he doing like Super Chat podcasts now, or is he just doing nothing?
That's a good question. I know he has a podcast. I don't know if he's taking super chats or not. Probably has a Patreon.
Because I would assume, if Kevin can make a good living doing super chats, certainly Doug Stanhope could. We should have Doug on, since Doug isn't doing anything. He's not doing stand-up.
I was going to say, if Kevin can get him, yes, you should definitely have Doug on. He's a great guy.
Yeah, if there's nothing to promote, I suppose you shouldn't do it. But if you're not doing anything, why not? Doug likes to keep busy.
He's got a show to promote, so yeah.
That's true. So did you came up with some Woke Dad to bring the show? As Woke Dad really tore ass 2 weeks ago. People really were fascinated, and they hated Woke Dad, which means they like him sort of indirectly.
I was so glad that your audience embraced Daniel Alexander, a.k.a. Woke Dad, as we named him on Who Are These Socials, because I went back, you asked, we can watch some old clips, some things that you guys reviewed, be new to our audience. So I went back in my notes to find the first time we ever covered Woke Dad. And in my notes, I have Blind Mike Geary. He's the one who found him and sent me over. And he said, oh, this one might be a gem. Were the words that he used. I said, okay, interesting. So I brought to you one of the first videos that we ever watched. This is just going back a few months. But the thing about Daniel Alexander is he goes on TikTok and he tells these outrageous stories. He's constantly in other people's business. He's constantly teaching people life lessons every single day. And this is one of the first ones we ever watched. I think this sums up Daniel Alexander pretty well.
My favorite customer just came by and brightened up my whole day, and my favorite customer is a young lady who's still in a car seat. She is homeschooled, and Mom brings her by from time to time, and she sits and talks with me, and she is quite the character. She loves coloring and dinosaurs, and she's also transgender. And yeah, I said a young transgender girl in a car seat. Before you jump into my comment section and tell me how she's too young to identify as a different gender than she was assigned at birth, I need you to know that she lives in a household in which her parents love her unconditionally, and they teach her to love herself unconditionally. And I know with 1,000% of every fiber of my being that she could change her name and pronouns 1,000,000 times a day. And her parents would still support her and love her unconditionally, because they know for sure that they would rather her change her name and pronouns every day than ever have to think about her obituary even one time. And she is an amazing young lady. Change the world. Show a little kindness and understanding. It makes a big difference.
It did not happen.
How did he know she was transgendered?
I was gonna say, I guess this girl isn't pulling it off.
Yeah.
He knows if she's trans, right? That's not great.
Still in a child seat, so that could be how old? What's the oldest?
8.
Yeah, I wouldn't even think that old. I would say 5, really.
Yeah, up to 5.
Yeah.
Is a 5-year-old really responsible enough to change their gender and their pronouns? You're
Well,
really
I'm
thinking
starting
about
to
that?
see comments coming in because we've brought some awareness out of Danielle Alexander that he's responding to. So I'm starting to see some comments coming in where somebody wrote to was like, my 5-year-old thinks he's Superman, so I threw him off the building. Turns out he's not Superman.
And of course, his favorite customer is trans. Just like his best friend, when they broke the bottle and the cops came and they blamed his best friend, who just happens to be black.
Right, yeah. That was a crazy story in the concrete jungle.
Yeah.
That's right.
But
Never forget that.
every story, his heroes are either black people or transgender people, and the villains are always white people somehow. I mean, wouldn't
Hey,
once in a while a white person do something nice?
Drew, just show a little kindness, all right?
All right. I'll order a cup
Is
of
anyone
kindness.
else maybe taken aback a little bit or creeped out this guy's favorite customer as a child? Can we look into this a little bit? That's odd.
Is that
Yeah.
child guzzling down coffee?
Well, I'd like to point out, like I tell my children, that I'm the one that's paying for it. I'm the customer. It's my decision what we're buying. I'm the customer. His favorite customer should be that parent.
No, but everything just fits in this phony narrative. Like he says that he broke the pop bottle, of course, which the cops came for in the projects, which the cops don't come to the projects over a broken bottle. But
No.
he has to point out that, which was a big treat, because he was so poor.
Yeah.
A pop was a big treat.
Soda,
So
sure.
what a lazy fuck. He drops a big treat. What an irresponsible brat. And then his black friend gets blamed for it.
I also love that they're playing handball because that was all they could afford.
They couldn't even afford a stick.
It was the 80s. No one's playing handball.
No.
I was a kid of the 80s. We weren't playing handball.
It's not big in the projects. You don't see a lot of...
In the concrete jungle?
No, I think
Yeah, I don't know what goes on in the concrete jungle. Got to make do with what you got.
So I found some TikToks that are more recent. We haven't covered these yet on Who Are These Socials. I thought that'd be a good one to kind of prime everyone
Yeah,
on
breaking
who
news.
this guy is. Let's see what he's up to now.
Look at that
He's
still.
visiting Ithaca, New York, which is a big college town in central New York. And the acting in this one is ridiculous.
I was just in Ithaca, New York at the farmer's market.
Yeah.
And if you know anything about Ithaca, New York, then somebody there with truck balls on their pickup truck might seem odd to you. But it reminded me of something that I really wanted to point out to the rest of you. If you're somebody who feels it necessary to put balls on your truck, says a lot about you, and there's an understanding we both need to get through to each other. Your truck's now transgender because it wasn't born with balls. Ford didn't intend for it to have balls. Wasn't how it was intended to be built. Do with that what you will, and have a great day.
Wow, that's powerful.
Literal Dan. Stop it with that.
What? I'm sorry. What are the balls he's talking about?
Truck nuts.
Truck nut. Yeah.
Truck nuts.
Yeah, the little accessory that they put on the hitch.
Scrotum, you've never seen that?
I don't think I know what that is.
Oh,
but-
yeah. Hey, what are you
Come on,
hanging out in
Drew.
Ithaca?
You know what truck
Wait, you
nuts
mean just the
are.
trailer?
They don't drive those around Ferndale.
The thing that pulls
Probably not.
the thing behind it. Like pulling a boat or something.
They hang from Brandon. Yeah. Here.
Yeah.
Right underneath the license plate.
Oh,
You look
okay,
down
okay.
there's a scrotum hanging down.
Okay.
Yeah, like that.
Okay, got it.
You've seen that, right, Drew?
I have seen it. Yeah, not.
I mean, it's
often,
not as
but-
popular anymore, but the joke's over on that one. Like, yeah, we
It's a
get
little.
it.
It's played out.
Yeah.
That being
Okay.
said, I think we want to get Drew a pair.
So wait, so you tell me, is he suggesting that in Ithaca, lots of people have those?
No, he's saying they don't. That's why he was surprised.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a very liberal town, very college-friendly town. So he was surprised to see Truck Nuts and had to make a TikTok about it. Wow, I got a joke for this. Check it out, guys.
But Carl, you're right.
It's in the truck, ha!
The acting is
transition.
so bad, and the way he uses his eyebrows, like he's very
Yeah.
smarmy.
You know.
Oh, yeah.
But what bothers me is that he has so many followers. He's actually getting over.
Wow.
It's TikTok.
Yeah. And how many people are watching it? I hate.
Well, I go through his comments, and he might delete them. I don't know what he's up to. But the comments are all supportive of his
Then he's
message.
deleting them.
He might.
There's no ratio that way. Yeah.
But there are a lot of people that think he's so genuine, and he's helping so many people with all the important messages, and he's converting people in his conversations and his interactions.
And Mark, I will say that one of the reasons why TikTok is so successful and more successful than other social media platforms is because the algorithm
Absolutely.
finds what you like and just shows you that.
Yeah.
So it is very possible that people like me and Blind Mike are not necessarily stumbling upon this guy very often. Thank goodness for Mike Geary for finding this for us. So
Good point. Yep.
he loves telling these stories. He loves talking about his day and what a hero he is, his heroics of the day. And sometimes he didn't do anything heroic that day, so he has to remember something that happened in a previous day, which is my next example.
2 years ago today, I watched a mom leave her infant in her car. Man, I wouldn't have even thought about it, but it popped up as one of those on this day posts. And now that I think about it, I can't get it out of my head. It was like it's happening right now, honestly. I was just out of the dentist office,
You
sitting
okay?
in the parking lot, getting ready to drive off, and this mom pulled up. She pulled right into the handicapped parking spot, ran inside, left the car running, and the doors unlocked with the infant in the back seat.
Oh,
And I stood there as a dad. I couldn't leave that child. As an average, everyday, just decent human being, I
Don't you have a
could
life
not
to
leave
live?
that child alone in the car with the car running. And I remember her response as she came out. She was super offended that I was standing there with the infant.
Yeah,
She was
creep.
mad. She was screaming at me. I know as a cis straight white man, I'm probably a little threatening to somebody like her. She was probably a little threatened, but maybe, just maybe, that would be one of so many reasons that she should have never left that infant in that car. Oh. Because you don't know who's out there and you don't know if they're safe. And the car was running. If I can stress anything, our children mean everything. Our children are the most precious asset we have on this earth.
that's a given.
Convenience doesn't mean a damn thing when it comes to their safety. They
Sometimes.
are our only priority.
Wow, I didn't know that.
So profound. Wow. But she wasn't threatened. She was annoyed. She's like,
Exactly.
really?
Yeah, you fuckface. The kid's fine. You didn't need to be here. Get out of my business.
I love how is he offended that the car was running? So next time, turn the car off. Make sure the windows are up when you leave your infant.
Yeah, I know. I think the point he was trying to make is that, no, he lives in a pretty rural area of New York. I'm sure it's fine. I think the point he was trying to make is that someone could come in and steal the car and the baby or something. I don't
No,
know.
that happens like twice a year and it hits the news. Just not that it's not that common.
Not this time because he saved the day and prevented
That's
it from
true.
happening.
Yeah, she
just-
probably thought he was gonna steal the car and the baby.
Why does he always have to take a shot at straight white men? Which could have been threatening in and of itself. Fuck you!
He's always apologizing for being a cis white
Cis-
male.
Straight. He's such a dick. By the way, last week, you and Mike had a video where he first got consent from his wife to talk to her off. She was off camera.
Yep.
Is it possible that she was off camera because I don't know? Could she be kind of huge? I don't know. Just saying.
Yeah.
Wasn't that kinda
I didn't-
weird?
You know what? I didn't even consider that, Drew. We should have had you on the show there. Pretty good analysis.
But why did you think she was off camera? I thought that was odd. You just heard
Well,
her voice.
obviously he's super famous and he doesn't want to drag his family into this. That was so bizarre too, because the video was something about how a commenter wrote, like, I'm worried for your children. And so he had to get his wife on there to talk about how she has a PhD and 2 master's degrees.
Oh, right.
And she minored in communication.
Right.
He's like going through her whole resume. I'm like, whatever.
Well, when he mentioned
I'm surprised people haven't doxed her. Find out who she is based on her resume and where they live.
the more he talked about her, the more I could just see the pounds adding on to her. I don't know why, maybe the advanced degrees, but that was just asking for consent to put her on. Fuck you. She's right there. She knows what you're doing.
Well, Drew, you're going to get really annoyed with this next one. This is a clip that he just put out, and this is insane.
I was just sitting here hemming my stepdaughter's prom dress. I think I did a pretty good job, honestly. But tonight's prom, it didn't quite fit, and I was sort of thinking, wow, wouldn't it be nice if all men were able to do stuff like this? Didn't have to worry about how things might question their masculinity. Wouldn't it be nice if men were a little less insecure?
Why don't you show yourself hemming it so we can know that you're really doing it? I don't even believe he's doing it.
Well, you're calling bullshit on that. I was thinking he should be thankful that there's men who build computer chips and design smartphones and develop software so you can post these dumb TikToks.
Yeah, and there's also men that work all day and make good money to support the whole family, so it just kind of works that somebody else might do that stuff.
Oh, he's so obnoxious.
No, he's better than you because he knows how to do it, so he's better.
Right. And, you know, every time I see someone who doesn't play guitar, I'm like, what the fuck's your problem, idiot? Why don't you do the stuff that I do? What's wrong with you?
Oh, he would love the people who are you're bringing up next on the screen.
Oh, do you want to talk about that reality show real quick? And then
you might as well play a clip.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah. This is great. So we discovered this new show. A listener to our show sent me a note. He goes, I think I found a gem for you guys. I don't know how we found it because they only had like 20 subscribers. They have hundreds now, but at the time there was only about 20 subscribers. Now they're developing a fan base, which I'm very proud of. I'm really happy for them. And so it's called That Reality Show. And it's these 2 elderly trans women they live in Connecticut, and they sit in Helga Mann's house, and they broadcast every day for between 25 and 30 minutes. They hate Trump. And if you play by clip 14, Mark, I think this is a good introduction to who they are. This is how the show started off today.
All right, it's Tuesday, senior discount day at ShopRite, and it's that reality show Trainwreck TV at its finest, where there's no net, no filter, no excuses, unbought and unbossed, beamed to the cloud, warts and all. We don't rehearse and we can't edit. What you see is what you get. Shame is not an option, or is ego no false pride, is their enemies at creativity. Disclaimer: drug use, language, subject matter. We talk about things that upset people, usually. And if you're of the Republican bent, we tend to skewer the Republican Party pretty hard because the Republican Party is in the hands of a lunatic.
All right, so that gives you a good sense of what's going on, especially people who are watching this right now. There's 2 women. One of them is pulling it off better than the other one. So it's weird. Depending on what wig Helga wears, that was the person you just heard talking, that's Helga Mann. Sometimes she looks like Bill Maher. Like she's got some weird looks going on, but I would never sit there and be like, was she assigned female at birth? I real head scratcher.
Yeah, she's very masculine looking, and her partner is who? What's her name?
Okay, so
I love
my
how
next
long
clip,
it takes her to drink.
Yes, so my next clip is we feature Lisa Boswell. Now, Lisa Boswell is a star. I am telling you, I am the biggest fan of Lisa Boswell. We've learned a lot about her, but she's been going through some serious health issues lately. She's in a lot of pain, and she's going to talk about that in this next clip 15, Mark.
You know something?
And prayer does work.
You would have flipped out yesterday. Max wife would go, ah,
Here we go. Like Nelson.
because I couldn't even smoke pot yesterday.
It was bad.
That's bad.
It's bad.
That's bad.
What the hell did I just look at?
That's bad.
I love
She wearing a bathing suit? What is that?
Weird dress.
It's a
It's
romper.
very short dress.
She's got a romper, yeah. But why does she talk like that with her mouth so wide?
Bizarre.
She's had a couple of strokes, I think.
She's had a few strokes. She did
Okay.
explain that recently
All right.
because she's like, people say I talk slow. I used to be on the radio. I used to talk real fast.
Okay.
And then Helga goes, can you do that now? She's like, no. She's so funny. So you just heard she's talking about her ex-wife. She smokes pot throughout the show. All she does is smoke pot all day, every day. And Helga has to eat pot because lung issues or something like that. So they're both big potheads. And if you go to my clip 17, hopefully you downloaded that one, Mark.
Yeah,
I sent it
yeah.
a little bit later.
Yep.
Okay. So this is where she circles back and explains the reason why she said that her ex-wife, back when she was a man, she explains why her ex-wife would be happy that she can't smoke pot.
The reason I said that about my wife, I have not seen my wife in 25 years. 25 years. Every time I couldn't smoke pot, she go, ah. That's kind of cruel, don't you think?
Yeah.
Don't you think?
Yeah.
She couldn't smoke pot 25 years ago for the same reason?
I don't know. That's a great question, but apparently she hasn't seen her wife or her kids. She has 5 kids, I found out, in 25 years, because 25 years ago, she was a man. She was breaking into people's homes, stealing panties and jerking off on them, and then went to prison for a long time. In prison, she was stabbed by her cellmate 18 times and almost died.
I
She's got a
almost
lot of
died.
stories, this one. She's
Oh my
fascinating.
God.
Smoke pot, she go, ah.
I'm telling you, there are so many sound bites with her. I just love playing her catchphrases. They're fantastic.
So the kids haven't gotten over this. In 25 years, you'd think maybe there'd be some forgiveness and a reunion at some point.
Hopefully they stumble across the show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be nice.
Well, I don't even know if they'd recognize her. I mean, all right, if you want to, if you go to their website, which is helgaxman.com, and you scroll down and look at the photo of Lisa Boswell, we all just saw what she looks like. She looks like a human Muppet. This is how
yeah.
I explained her when I first saw her. I'm like, that's not a person, that's a Muppet. You know, Jim Henson created that, obviously. It's cool. It's fun.
Wait.
But look at that. Look at
Wow.
that person.
She's pretty cute.
That's supposed to be Lisa?
Wow.
That's supposed to be Lisa Boswell.
I don't
No
know.
kidding. Oh, that's
No way.
weird.
I don't look like that anymore.
Wow, this is
Drew's
really
flummoxed.
This is really something.
I use a lot of AI filters.
How do you get How do you get all that prison time for stealing panties?
Oh, she was she was sentenced for life in South Carolina.
Wow.
For stealing panties and
I
masturbating?
found the article. Yeah, I found the article. I guess she was so far gone that when the police showed up, because she had been robbing all of these houses, and there were priors and stuff too. But when the police showed up, she couldn't stop jerking off. She was like, drop the panties. She's like, nope, I ain't done yet.
Well, maybe she thought it was just a few more pulls and it'd be over,
Yeah,
and and
almost
turned
there,
into.
officer. Give me a second here.
And then the officer showed up, and that meant a few more pulls and a few more pulls, and then she sort of in that no man's land and just gotta fucking finish.
While we're having fun, I did bring one more clip because everything she says is gold to me. My clip 16 is just another one of these funny things. The way that she talks, I love it.
Helga, I cannot even hear you. Can you believe that?
Yeah, I know. You're. I think you've got a cold on top of whatever the hell's happening with your sciatica. I think that's why you can't hear me and why you're in such misery.
Whatever you said, I agree.
Her mouth goes so wide open when she talks, it looks like Tukey is controlling it or something.
Yes, I'm telling you, it's a Muppet. And it's funny too, because you could tell, and I haven't had a stroke, I'm sure it's tough. You could tell that she's gearing up to say words because her face will start going,
Yeah.
I can't hear a thing. Can you believe that?
And her eyes are wide open. It's really weird. She almost seems like she could be dead. She could be a corpse sitting there, or maybe something's going to come out.
She kind of looks like that Brazilian guy that they brought into the bank to cash
Oh, the
that
dead one?
Yeah. Well, the reality show's only made it onto WATP a couple times, but it seems like they've got a future, possibly.
Yeah, we featured them in the last few episodes. I'll be featuring them again tomorrow because they put on a show every day, and every day there's new gems to take a look at. So
And you guys have bumped up their audience too. Now, what are they drawing instead of their usual 20?
well, they created a Patreon over the weekend, and Helga Man's putting her art up on the website for sale now. If you want to follow them, it's on YouTube. The YouTube channel is called Helga Man.
It'll be linked in the
Two
show
M's.
notes. Yeah, and they got
Right.
877 subscribers, which is a lot more than they had when you found them, right?
Oh my gosh. When they came on after we found them, they came on and they're like, we had 700 views yesterday. And Lisa goes, we've had that before. And Helga goes, yeah, but over 3 years' time.
Helga's got 5 books that Helga was plugging too.
Yes,
Which
in
apparently
fact,
she
my
thought you-
buddy Adam Thoreau sent me one in the mail. I just opened it today, the red book I just got. So I'll be reading her whatever that is.
Yeah, that might be interesting to go through chapter by chapter, like John's book.
Well, the thing about Helga Man's annoying. So she was part of the Weather Underground, apparently. Is on the FBI most wanted list
weird.
and all
Yeah,
this
boy.
stuff. Like, was what do you call that? Domestic terrorist.
Yeah.
Like created bombs and stuff like that. That was his specialty back in the day. So he was protesting Vietnam and stuff like that.
How old is Helga?
78.
No shit. Wow.
And Lisa's 68.
I would have thought it was reversed, if
I'm
anything.
68.
I know.
I'm gonna be 69.
Can you believe that? It's gotten so bad. I love her voice so much. It's my inner dialogue now. Should I go to the store today?
I gotta go on the
I want
True Line
tacos.
show.
You know what I got stuck in my head, Carl? And I think you guys played it on Who Are These Socials, and we played it on the show once too, is that song about rubbing and tugging these nips?
Yes,
I
did play
could
that.
not stop hearing that hook. It just is it's such an earworm. And I'm just walking around the house going, rubbing and tugging these nips. It's just, I don't know what happened. I have an
Those
earworm.
songs are all so great. Are they AI generated? All those oldies?
It's a great question.
I don't know, because the
Kinda
album,
seems like
the
it.
album covers look real. Play that little.
Yeah.
Thing.
There's a lot of good songs from that.
I've been tugging these nips and I'm rubbing them again. See you in hell, I don't give a shit. I'm just rubbing and tugging these fucking nips. Oh golly, ooh, my fucking nips are bleeding. See you in hell, I don't give a shit. I'm just rubbing and tugging my fucking nips. The doctor said you need to stop, or you can kiss those nips goodbye. I said, hey doc, you can eat a cock. I tell your wife I'm coming by. See you in hell, I don't give a shit. I'm just rubbing and tugging
These fucking nips.
Oh,
Yeah, I was rhyming it with all kinds of other stuff too while I was singing it in my head. And those songs, I'm intrigued by them. Maybe they are AI generated. There's the one where I want to get in your pants because I shit in mine.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like they would be songs that were actually recorded a long time ago, because although the album covers look like 1950s or 1960s,
Oh yeah, no, they're definitely new.
they are
They're new
AI
songs,
generated.
yeah. I think that's
They
what people
gotta
are
be.
saying. I think
Yeah.
so. Yeah.
It's pretty clever. Let's hear just a little bit of it. So,
It's got a great intro.
I'd really like to get in your pants because I got shit in mine. I just can't stop ruining all of these pants. I'm just shitting and shitting and shitting and I ain't ever quitting. Trying to get in your pants because I keep fucking shitting in mine. I'd really like to get in your pants because I keep fucking shitting in mine.
had to be a very understanding woman to let you in her pants for that reason. But
I love
anyway,
how
yeah.
they make them sound old too, like they're on vinyl.
Yeah, they do. They sound like people in their 50s recording them in the 50s.
Yeah, but it even has the old hiss on it. Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
honestly, we were talking about this on Who Are These Socials with Mike Geary. I used to work in like a 50s style restaurant when I was a teenager. and they would play the oldies station. I heard all these songs over and over again. If one of these came on, I don't think anyone would bat an eye. If you weren't paying attention, it just sounds like everything else.
Yeah, a lot of people were playing Red Peters at weddings, receptions and stuff.
Remember all the old people were out there dancing to You Promised the Moon, but I preferred Uranus.
Yeah, that was a big one for a while. Howard had him on a few times, I think.
Good, yeah.
And Karl mentioned Amy and TJ and being kind of boring, but I had just listened to them yesterday, and I was almost yelling at my phone listening to it because TJ is constantly lecturing Amy and everyone else about things that I don't think really require a lecture at all, especially for a guy who's balls deep in interns and producers all the time when he worked at ABC, but he's so easily offended. Did you get the same feeling, Karl?
Drew, he's the worst. I don't know who would be a fan of TJ Holmes. So Amy Robach and TJ Holmes had the Amy and TJ podcast. We've talked about it before on the show, episode 1. I checked out the episode from yesterday, which is called Understanding Why It Drew Criticism, talking about Drew Barrymore's interview with the vice president. I have some clips from that. But I also pulled clips from today's show, which it just turns out, which is crazy. I don't know how this happens to me so much. It's their most important episode ever. I just happen to be listening to this episode. But let's start on the episode that you listened to, Drew.
Wait, first, Karl, are there subjects that are off limits on any of these?
It's amazing what they can say now that they're not on ABC. They can do whatever they want. All right, so well, you heard this one, Understanding Why It Drew Criticism. They were doing it from their kitchen, which normally they go into the studio. They're like, but for this episode, we had to do it from our kitchen. And they explain why, because of the producer of the show. So it starts out, they're talking about Drew Barrymore's unique interviewing style, while they sit very close to each other on the couch, and it's awkward and weird.
Horrible.
It's hard to watch.
And plus, you're watching two. I think both of them are idiots, to be honest.
You think? All right. So let's start. My clip number 9, Mark, is where they start getting into finding out about this interview.
Even the fact that she's sitting with her on a couch. Most people don't interview world leaders on a couch, first of all. But there's some part of me gives Drew Barrymore credit for sticking to who she is and not deviating from that, even if it's the vice president. Some argue she should have deviated.
I don't know why I can't get past calling Kamala Harris a world leader. Just feels so weird to me.
I'll tell you why, Drew, because she once said on the radio, so Ukraine is a country in Europe. It exists next to another country called Russia. Russia is a bigger country. Russia is a powerful country. Russia decided to invade a smaller country called Ukraine. So basically, that's wrong, and it goes against everything we stand for.
Yeah, that's about the level that she would probably understand it best, I suppose.
I like that she goes, a bigger country invaded a smaller country, which is against everything we stand for. Is Vietnam bigger than the U.S.? Is Iraq bigger than the... What are you talking about? Makes no sense.
Everything she says is stupid. She's walking out of an interview. We were just playing a clip earlier today. Mark, explain what she did.
Oh, well, she had just gotten takeout food, and so someone wanted to yell, hey, what about the ceasefire, Hamas and Israel? And she just goes, shrimp and grits! That's what you want to know! And then gets in the car.
Yeah, she's pointing to her carry-out bag. Shrimp and grits!
Yeah. Jesus. All right, so that's ridiculous.
No.
All right, now, they found out about this Drew Barrymore interview because their producer, while they were doing their show, pointed to a New York Times op-ed that was talking about it. And the producer's like, do you want to discuss this on the show? They're like, no, we don't even know what the interview is. So my clip number 10, they explain their process to go through this.
So Robes and I then, we go home, we decide to do a little experiment. We didn't read the op-ed. We didn't Google, we didn't read articles. Instead, what we decided to do was watch the interview ourselves. Rose watched it on her own, I watched it on my own, then we came together and decided, and we're gonna talk about it.
What a novel concept.
Honestly, Mark, maybe I'm naive, but isn't that very telling that they would explain, we decided not to read an opinion piece from the New York Times before giving our opinions on it? Like, yeah.
Or anywhere. Yeah, they must be used to co-opting other people's opinions as opposed to going to the source.
We did this crazy thing. We decided to form our own opinions and then give those to you instead. Okay, that sounds fun. So it starts with Robes, her take.
Don't call her that.
He calls her Robach, too.
Oh, Jesus.
I just said it was really hard to watch, incredibly uncomfortable to watch, not just because of how close she was talking to her, But the fact that she never once talked about any of the accolades and any of the hard work and any of the really impressive things that Kamala Harris has done throughout her career to become vice president of the United States, what she's done in office.
And this is the best part, Carl, where TJ gets to tell her how stupid she is.
Yes, correct. I just love that, where it's like, why wasn't Drew Barrymore praising her? She wasn't praising her enough for how amazing she is. Like,
Talking
we
about
get enough of that.
her successful policies. Oh, please. But no, TJ, I think he wanted to watch it separately from Amy so he could then, of course, bust Amy for being wrong, which is what he always does.
Clip number 12, you got it.
What jumped out at me as the most glaring issue that many people ultimately did have with it, and that is, of course, her calling her Mamala. Of course, her stepkids call her Mamala. Shouldn't that be a fun moment, a cute moment? But in going further and saying that we need you to be our protector, we need you to give us a hug, we need you to be the mom for the whole country, that I got like I had a visceral reaction to hearing that immediately.
Why?
Because I recognize something as a black person, as a black man, that you didn't immediately recognize, which is that she was putting Kamala Harris, a black woman, into a category of service, putting into a category of being in service to others, and a category of being a servant, and in a way that so many black women historically in this country have been stereotyped and put into a hole in an expectation.
Oh, bitch, bitch, bitch.
But she is in public service.
Yeah, she's
She's a public servant. Thank you. Do we forget that? Do we forget what politicians are? We're so busy praising them. All these shows I've been listening to lately, you guys have been talking about it. Smartless and Drew Barrymore and Howard Stern. They treat these people like they're royalty, like the royal family. Like, oh my gosh, the king is here. Let me kiss the ring. I can't believe it's like, no, they're public servants. They work for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What the fuck happened? Also, is Kamala Harris black? I know that we pretend she is, but
So
her mom's from India.
I was gonna say this. I know someone who is black who is just very pissed that she identifies as black.
Yeah, I would imagine
because
so.
it's what did you say? She's Indian in Bahamas? Is that where her dad was from?
Jamaica.
Jamaica, okay.
Right.
So they're like, that's not really black.
Well, when I was-
they're appalled at that fact. They think it's very convenient at times how she will then
I think
be.
she's more Canadian than she is black, to be honest with you, if you really look at it.
Well, when I was reading about all the racism that Meghan Markle was the victim of, I was like, wait, I didn't even know she was black. Is she really black? I had no idea.
Do you remember when we were listening to a podcast with Jessica Alba, and they were calling her a person of color? And they're like, I can't believe you're able to get over all of these hurdles being a person of color. It's like, she's the hottest chick in the world. For a 6-year period, she was the hottest girl anyone's ever seen. Hot privilege always beats out whether you're from Latino descent.
It
or
trumps
black or
everything.
anything.
By the way, did you
does.
guys like how I dropped that I have a black friend that I talked to?
Yeah, that was
pretty
really
huh?
cool. I know. I was
Thank
going to
you.
bust you for it, but there's going to be a lot of that going on, unfortunately. No, he loves acting like Amy is just such a dumb shit white person. It comes across all the time. Amy's like, I'm learning so much in our conversations. Oh my God, I can't imagine how horrifying it must be to be Amy Robach.
She's still a woman, Drew. Come on.
Yeah, that's true.
One more clip from this, my clip 13, because basically, let me play it and then I'll explain my analysis on it.
And Drew Barrymore didn't get it, I believe, in the moment, what she was saying. Obviously, she didn't mean any harm, and I think she was trying to pay a compliment. But for so many in the country and so many black folks, obviously, you immediately see that even the best and brightest of us and the woman sitting as the vice president has now been reduced. It didn't help the optics that it was a white woman sitting on that couch with her. Has been reduced to nothing more than a servant, a maid, a mammy, or what we have stereotypically seen black women being portrayed as. And that stings to high heaven for a lot of black folks.
So let me get this straight. Drew Barrymore didn't mean it in that way.
No.
And no one inside you took it that way.
Yeah.
But you're still upset and offended? Like, maybe you're just reading this wrong, TJ. I don't know.
maybe Drew Barrymore just said something really stupid.
Yeah, maybe she's an idiot.
She is.
Maybe.
She
But
is.
also, since when is like the mom a servant? That's another weird thing too. He takes that giant leap to, because basically they were saying what Drew Barrymore was saying, because she's an idiot, is like, this country needs a mom right now. Can you be our mommy? You know, and he's like, all right, yay, we got a mom now. And it's like that's not. It's the same as a butler. She didn't say that.
Well, maybe the whole mammy thing, because she's taking care of the very elderly man at the White House. True. I mean, you see this really old man, and then this black lady, as she would say, next to her.
Amy goes on and on about what a mom does. She tries to make all your pain go away and all this and other, like, and that's really what a horrible thing to say about. I was like, oh my God, you guys are thinking way too much about this. Drew gave it no thought.
Correct. Drew wasn't being like, all right, I'm really going to get over Kamala Harris. Most people wouldn't even pick up on it. Hopefully TJ Holmes isn't watching. Can we just talk about today's episode, though? Because this is so amazing. Like I said, I pop on the show. This show is called When the News Makes News. And TJ Holmes explains in my clip number 1 that there are people who didn't even want them to record this episode today.
Oh, wow.
Just before we put our jackets on to walk out the door to come to the studio to record this episode of the podcast, Robach and I received a warning that we should not record this episode of the podcast. So welcome, everybody, to this episode.
What a tease.
Oh, wow. It's got to be something really heavy. What are they talking about? Satanism or
No.
Israel and Pakistan?
The former head of GMA getting fired? Is that what it was?
You guys probably talked about this for the first 40 minutes of the show today. I wasn't listening. Kim Godwin stepped down as the president of ABC News.
And they were warned not to talk about it, even though they don't work at ABC News and haven't and never will again.
Well, Amy's trying to get her job back, remember?
It's the perfect time to talk about it. You have
Yes.
you have nothing in the
Wait.
What's the word? No
What, leverage? No
Dog
skin
in
in the
the
game?
race.
Yeah.
dog in the race, exactly.
I know. It's so silly. So they go on there and just like, all right, I'm sure everyone's anticipating how we're going to react to this because, and they're going to explain this, Kim Godwin was the person who made the phone call to TJ to say, don't come into work today.
But they could have done that before.
So do they get their jobs back since her words don't matter anymore?
Well, let's find out. Clip number 2, because all their friends and all their ex-coworkers are texting them and messaging them.
Bullshit.
And this is a big deal in
No
their
way.
world.
It's interesting because I think maybe many of you, and certainly some of my friends and family, expected me or us to feel some sort of vindication or that we felt like justice was served now that Kim Godwin is gone. But that is not the case. And I want to make that very, very clear. I didn't, and we didn't feel any of those things. I would say the best way to describe how I feel is sad. It's sad when someone loses their job. It's sad when someone leaves a profession they love for whatever reason. And given all that we've been through, it's just sad that this is how the story ended.
Wow.
Okay. So their friends and family are saying you should feel vindicated. The person who fired you lost their job or had to step down. Or
But that's not why that lady got
except
fired.
TJ
Correct.
TJ was balls deep in 4 much younger employees with less power than him. That's why he's not ever going back.
Yeah.
So I looked this up, and CNN says Godwin made several profound errors, including employing a hands-on approach or hands-off approach to managing, not developing a strategic vision for the newsroom, eliminating the heads of the talent relations division, and appointing an inner circle of alienated staffers. Moreover, while ABC's flagship morning show, Good Morning America, continues to be a rating success, it has slipped in viewership in recent months.
By a lot, yeah.
It has nothing to do with her letting these two go.
Not at
Okay?
all.
No.
Not at all.
But what we're going to find out here, my clip number 6, is that TJ claims that her letting them go is the reason why she has now been forced to step down.
I think a lot has been talked about now is that was a part of the thing that, in terms of her leadership and how she was being I guess Disney or they were keeping an eye on her. That was one of the things that was not in her pro column, if you will, the handling of our situation.
Yeah, she probably should have fired them a lot sooner than what she did.
Right.
Mark, that's exactly what was said at the time.
Yeah.
They forced her hand.
Yeah.
And now they're sitting there going, yep, I mean, obviously it's proof right there that we did everything right. She did everything wrong because now she's not there anymore.
Oh, what idiots.
And we're going to remind everyone in my clip number 3 why they're upset with her.
For us, this was the person who made the phone call at 6 a.m. on December 5th, 2022, telling us not to come to work. And we never got back on the air at ABC News. So she was very central in everything that ended up taking place with us. So I did. You got a message this morning, and look, it's been out there in print. So like ding dong, the witch is dead. You got that message. I got a message, someone using the word justice. Like justice has been served now. Neither one of those sentiments are what we felt this morning.
Well, yeah, because you were making over $3 million between you, and now you're making nothing. So it doesn't help that she's not making any money. That doesn't help you.
What does that say about their asshole friends?
Yeah.
So this woman loses their job and they're like, yeah, good, she's gone. The wicked witch is dead. Isn't this great?
Or it didn't happen, and that's their way of trashing her without trashing her.
Guys, personally, I can't believe that they are shit talking an African American woman.
She's African American.
It's funny you say that, Brandon, because TJ is going to take credit for her getting the job in the first place.
Oh!
In my clip number 4.
I had a hand. I had a personal hand.
Oh my God, what an asshole.
And advocated for her to be president of ABC News. Because at the time, you remember this, we had a group of all of our African-American talent on the air, got together, and wanted more diversity at the network. This was back in 2016. And then so when 2020 comes around and the former president, James Goldston
yes.
left. And when there was an opening, we banded together, that same African-American group, and we went into Disney leadership and said, this is who we'd like you to consider. We gave them literally a list of names. Kim Godwin was on it.
Which is really Robin Roberts and Strahan, right?
Very good point. Yes.
Yeah, no one's listening to TJ Holmes. They're listening to those two.
He's so full of shit. Oh my God, he was not a full-time. Amy made double the money he did.
Yeah.
She was a full-timer. It was like a part-timer.
You know what's very telling to me? You guys follow the news media and you guys follow the news better than I do. And none of you picked up on the fact that the woman who fired them was just stepped down, and that's what they'd be talking about. They're talking about this like it's all the news that anyone's talking about. They're so up their own asses. They think this is the most important thing that's happening right now in America. No one even knows about it. It's
They had
not
to
a
put
big
a
deal.
warning before their episode.
And I'm going to read up on this after we get done today, and I guarantee you there will be almost nothing said about Kim Godwin firing those two.
Correct. I
read the story yesterday, and there was no mentioning of those two. It was all about the ratings.
So clip number 5, TJ wasn't just rooting for her to succeed.
Okay.
I wanted her to do well. This is the first black woman to be the head of a major news network. I need her. We need her to have success. That same woman is the one who handled us and gave a call to me to not come back on TV.
You made her job a lot harder.
He's such a team player. Wow.
True, it's black on black crime. She did him dirty with that.
You know, I want to go back to the previous episode for just a second to point out the way TJ thinks. He was talking about the Will Smith slapping Chris Rock, and how, oh my God, this ruins the night. We had a black producer. We had the two people on the Black Mount Rushmore of entertainment up on stage rolling around in a fight. We had a black director. It was our night. And so when that happens, all these white people are going, see, look what happens when you guys are in charge. You just fucked the whole thing up.
Come on, nobody said
I
that.
didn't hear anyone say that.
No,
You know, he gets so angry when anyone suggests how he would or should think, and yet he puts words in white people's mouths all the time, and that's ridiculous.
I get so annoyed, and I know that that's not where we're at anymore. When we talk about dividing people by the color of their skin, you have a guy like TJ Holmes and even this woman, Kim Godwin, who are making millions of dollars a year. They're at a higher status point in America than I am.
than most
Much higher.
everyone.
Yes. So the fact that this guy's constantly talking about race and playing the race cards, like, I needed her to do well at that job because she's a black woman doing that job. It's like, as a German American, I really needed Hitler to focus less on the genocide and more on rebuilding Germany. Kind of fucked up our legacy a little bit. It's bad for us. Like, no one looks at me and just goes, "Oh yeah, you're from that country where that guy did that thing." Like, no, it's stupid.
And
That's how you
who knows
think
who's
about life.
producing that show? And
Nobody does. Nobody
one
knows who
that.
directs it. No one knows who produces
And
it.
they don't care. They just enjoy the show or they don't enjoy the show. And we love the show. And honestly, I felt bad for Chris Rock because I love Chris Rock.
Yeah.
And now I hate Will Smith.
And black people have been huge in entertainment for decades. My entire life, some of the biggest stars on the planet are black people. Adam Crowley likes to talk about that. Whereas, like, if an alien came down, they're like, yeah, so there's these white people who suppress these black people. Now, the richest entertainer in the world is Oprah Winfrey. And, over here we have Will Smith. And over here, it's just like, you can have all these examples. You're like, well, I'm not understanding the suppression part. What do you mean?
And all the Grammy, the Grammys are racist, and yet Jay-Z and Beyonce both passed Paul McCartney in Grammy nominations. Kanye,
Right.
I think, is third. It's like, really? And we're worried about her getting Album of the Year. She's been nominated like 90 times. She's won 32 times, and she's a victim of racism in the Grammys? What the fuck?
It does screw up the narrative just a little bit, I have to say.
Yeah, it doesn't help.
So this is my favorite clip from this show. I just have a couple more because the entire point, and this is a half an hour show, and this is all they talk about, the entire show. This is the only thing that's going on in the news. They are explaining that they're the bigger people. They are not celebrating the fact that Kim Godwin was just fired, even though, I keep saying fired. She was kind of forced to step down. So, basically the same thing. But they're not celebrating that, even though she was the one that made them lose their jobs in their minds. And my clip 7 is a supercut of them explaining this.
It's a sad morning. That's the best way for me to describe it.
Where people are asking us or expecting us with now out of the building, nothing to lose, freedom to dump on her. No. That even in private, you and I talking, and
No.
we can say that honestly in private with none of y'all listening. We did not have a bad word to say. I just didn't feel a whole lot when I heard this news. There was not a single ounce of joy. There wasn't a single bit of me that applauded. I get why people expect us to come out and go in or go hard or just. That's genuinely, honestly nothing. And that has something to do with, I guess, the past year and a half of our lives. It has to do with growth. It has to do with empathy. I just see this woman, nobody. I don't want her to go through what she's going through. You don't want this. She was a first. The person I hold most responsible is Kim Godwin. I can sit here and not have a single bit of ill will towards Kim Godwin or applaud that she got what she deserved, got her comeuppance, or got no.
You're saying
I
it.
didn't want that for her at all, and my heart hurts for her.
You and I both, we didn't, there was no, I just felt sad. That's just the best way for me to put it. We weren't high-fiving. We weren't saying karma, what goes around comes around. None of that. And I don't want to live my life like that. And so I don't feel any anger towards her.
Maybe that's a part of our growth. That's a part of our experience. But there is just no animus. When I see that the network or shows are struggling or behind or lagging, then we get all the reports from our friends and colleagues and folks who are still in the building. I hate that.
Yeah, when the show does really shitty like it is right now. But I'm not going to say that.
Honestly, I'm listening to the show, and if they would have said it in the first 5 minutes, listen, we're not celebrating the Kim Godwin, even though she had a big role in us losing our jobs. We don't want her to lose her job. We're upset about it. If they would have just said that and moved on, I would have believed them.
Yeah.
They talked about it for 30 minutes straight. Yeah, we weren't applauding. We weren't high-fiving. We weren't saying what comes around goes around. Like, wait a second. I think all these things happen now that you said it.
Protest too much. I love that whole thing too, where it's like people wanted us to talk about what a cunt she is or a terrible boss. We're not going to say that. They wanted
They
us
kept
to
saying
remind
all the things that they're like, no, we're not going to say.
They're saying
They
it by
deserved it.
Yes.
And they're always talking about their fucking growth. I'm tired of their growth.
I know. At some point, grow up. You're done growing.
God.
Drew, the narcissism on this show is off the charts. And I have one more clip because now they're going to explain that they were out at a restaurant And who's at the restaurant but Kim Godwin? And they haven't talked to Kim since they lost their jobs. But guess who the bigger person is in this?
It's
Like
got to
the
be Amy and
grenade.
TJ. It's got to be.
Robes.
Even then, when we had an opportunity to avoid her, we had an opportunity to go off on her, we had an opportunity to do all kinds of things. We didn't take that opportunity to do so.
And I will give you credit for the bottle of champagne idea because it is one of those crazy moments where you think, nah, what are the chances that we are actually sitting in the same place that she is? She has not seen us. We can totally see her. We can see everything she's doing and saying, and we could absolutely have walked out, avoided her. We had a way to get out of that room or that area without her having seen us. But then we went back and forth. What do we do? Do we go up and say hi? Do we, I mean, we were just, there was all the different possibilities.
Cut and run. Let's get
Yeah,
outta
right.
here.
And you had the idea to have the waiters send a bottle of champagne
Oh,
over.
what a dick move.
And then kind of reference our table, and we could just sit and wave and just say hi. And it just seemed like the polite, kind, nice thing to do. As soon as you came up with the idea, I said, oh, perfect. That's exactly what we need to do.
Yeah, that's how we get her to notice that we're doing great and we're still together and everything's wonderful.
Yep.
What a bunch of
amazing people.
Yeah, I love the way how they point out how wonderful they are. That is so generous of them to point that out.
So humble. A lot of humility there.
And I bet you Kim Godwin wished they hadn't sent the champagne. I bet she wished, God, couldn't they have just fucking walked out and said nothing?
I wish she would have sent it back.
Well, then they explained that Kim got up, walked over to the table, and gave them both hugs.
Fake.
So yeah, it turned into a whole awkward moment for everyone involved.
Yeah, no, that's a big bummer. Just like later on in the previous episode about Drew Barrymore, TJ towards the end of the episode says, I really want to take Drew out to lunch and explain all this to her. It's like, no, she does not want to go out to fucking lunch with you. She doesn't need any mansplaining from you, TJ. Fuck you.
I'm surprised TJ didn't point out that she came over and gave me a hug and everybody in the restaurant said, look at those two black people. They just found each other. And they're hugging it out in this room of white people. Or made this some race-related issue with her.
This show was insane. I don't know who could possibly listen to the show
No one
because
does.
it's all about. You would think they'd be covering like they used to do on ABC, the news of the day, what's going on. Everything's about them.
Yes. No, they can't talk about Pakistan and Israel because I don't think they can. Palestine.
Or Pakistan. They can't talk about either one. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even think they can talk about the election. I don't think they can talk about the Trump trial. I just don't think they have the chops to do it.
And they're too busy fucking. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
True. But no, you would think they would get great guests. They would know how to book great people.
Exactly.
They booked some really stupid people. They booked the lady who had the OnlyFans sign on her car, and so they wouldn't let her drop her kids off in front of the school. The worst fucking interview. It was like 40 minutes long. It's like that interview's not good for more than 10 minutes. It's a fairly boring topic. It was overdone when they did it.
Since they're on such good terms with Kim Godwin, they should reach out to her and have her on the show.
Yeah, sure. And I also do not believe that everyone from Good Morning America is contacting them. I bet it's like one or two people.
No, there's no way.
Right. Yes. You know what they should get? Who's the guy you guys had on yesterday? Trendy.
Bobby Trendy?
Bobby Trendy, yeah.
Oh, you don't know Bobby Trendy?
Yeah, for a show. Holy shit, he's fantastic.
He's fired out of a cannon right away every time we
that
call
guy.
him.
Hey, I thought the grandmother of Brittany's new boyfriend's kids, that was a pretty good get, too. Actually, that was a great get.
That was a fantastic interview. And Drew, I got to give you credit because Stuttering John had Elisa Jordana on recently. And Elisa comes on and John's like, so what's the deal? How much money did this guy give you? Blah, blah, blah. And she's just like, I can't talk about it. He keeps asking her questions. I can't talk about it. Horrible interview. Was one of the worst things ever. You have Elisa on, and it's a great interview.
Oh, thanks.
You know how to interview people. You know how to get a good conversation going. That woman was so reluctant to talk to you. She's like, I can't talk. And you're like, okay, but what about blah, 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 blah. And you kept her on the phone for like 30 minutes. It was great.
Can you believe that asshole boyfriend of Brittany's has 9 fucking kids, and he yells at grandma for getting into the Daily Mail? They just took a picture of her. She's walking the streets, and he's mad at her. She's raising his fucking kids.
It's so outside of the way that I think, and this is a thing that I've been zoning in on recently. I think we're going to do more of this, is focusing in on narcissism and narcissistic personality disorder, because when you meet people like this, you don't see them very often. And then when you find them out, you go, this is crazy. How could you live your life like this? And they honestly, when you explain to them, you go, well, this is crazy. You have 9 kids and this is what you're worried about. You're not taking care of your kids. You're just fucking Britney Spears. And they go, yeah, What's the problem? I don't get it. Why are you mad at me? What did I
me.
do?
She's just so turned on by deadbeat dads. She just can't resist them.
What a concept.
It's so funny because that song "Toxic" that was her big hit in '99 or whatever it was is all about this specific. I'm like, holy shit! I don't think she writes her own music, but she nailed it.
I know this is the best guy for her. It's just, and he's driving around in her Mercedes today. I'm like, this guy's got 9 kids he doesn't care about, and he's driving Brittany around in a $200,000 Mercedes. How bizarre!
Is that the one he totaled, or is it a different one?
No, different one, new one,
okay.
I guess.
Good.
Yeah.
Did you watch TMZ Live today, Drew?
I watched some of it. Yeah.
I got to cue something out. I think you should really hear what this one lady had to say about the whole Brittany driving her car, because they made a big deal about, her foot.
Oh yeah, I thought she needed surgery. She was self-diagnosed.
That's right. Yeah, her gross foot was all swollen up.
It's her mom's fault.
Yes, of course.
Oh God, where is it at?
Her mom set her up. That's right.
That's right. Set her up.
She's always being set up.
All right, here, hang on.
I hear that meth makes you paranoid.
Yes.
Oh, balls, I can't find it. Scrap it. Sorry.
I love when the fans check in at the end of the story, though. That's always so random.
Oh, here she is. My bad. Here we go.
I'm always going to be rooting for Britney Spears and hoping she's doing well. I think we need to remember that this is the first time that she's making decisions for herself in a long time. And, necessarily it doesn't have to be the right decision. She's allowed to make bad decisions, whether that's driving with a foot that maybe she shouldn't be driving on, or dating a man who maybe she shouldn't be dating.
Yeah.
She's just allowed to make bad decisions. She's figuring it out like the rest of us are.
You are allowed to make bad decisions.
My theory on Britney Spears is that her fans have the most the collectively lowest IQ of any fan base of anyone. Is that possible?
Drew,
I think
that's
it
a
is.
plant right there. That was a script. There's no way TMZ is finding someone like that in the wild.
But her fans are stupid.
Yes.
No, I think I think everyone's turned around on Britney, haven't they?
Yeah.
She's allowed to make. This is the first time she's ever made decisions.
Yeah, right.
Come on.
You know who shows up on TMZ though? Is that
whatever she
caller
wants.
after the story is Dick. Of the Dick Show.
Oh yeah. Dick Madison's great on there.
Yeah, he's very funny. He gets on there like every 2 months or so. I see Dick. And he's always very outspoken.
Yeah, he's a good go-to guy. He's out there in LA, and he's got the equipment and the setup to do it. And he's always got a funny opinion.
All right, so what's going on? Hackamania is coming up.
Yeah, Hackamania is coming up May 31st through June 2nd. We're going to be in Las Vegas. You're going to want to get out there. It's going to be a lot of fun. Weather's going to be great. Lots of stuff to do. We have comedy shows Friday night. We have podcasts all day. On Saturday, I'm doing the Creep Off with Vinny Paulino. My buddy Brian Johnson from Tell 'em Steve Dave's going to be there. He'll be a part of the Creep Off. And Who Are These Podcasts? Tukey Soup is going on. Nobody Likes Onions.
Nice.
So Hackamania.com, promo code WATP, get 20% off your tickets for that. And this week, well, actually in the following weeks, I'm having a lot of people who are part of Hackamania on WATP. So tomorrow I have Pat Dixon coming on the show. Pat Dixon's a great stand-up comedian.
He's great on the show.
In a while. Yeah, he's fantastic. He was on Compound Media for a long time before he broke Gino Bisconti's jaw in a bar fight. But before that, he had a very good show called New York City Crime Report.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
And so he's on tomorrow, and then I got Tukey coming on Saturday. So we're gearing up for Hackamania, hackamania.com. WATP is the promo code.
Is Brian Johnson a late addition to Hackamania?
Brian Johnson just said, we're going. Actually, I think it was his wife, Mary Beth, who said, we're going.
Excellent.
And so we're like, great, yeah, come on. We'll have you on the show. So, yeah, he's always fantastic.
Yeah, he's a great addition. And, of course, there's so much to bet on at the sports book, too, because NBA playoffs and NHL playoffs. So you can do both. You can do all that.
I got to tell you, Drew, as a sports fan, and I'm sure Mark will agree with me on this, I've spent so many days in Vegas, and I know that like gambling on sports now is a lot easier, but back then it wasn't, where you just go down and you decide to make your bets, and then you just sit there for 3 hours and you watch the game, and there's nothing better than it.
Oh,
it's great.
I mean,
keeps you away from the table. You have your one bet in. You're rooting for one thing to happen for 3 hours. You have a couple drinks. You have a little snack, and you just sit there and watch the game on a huge screen.
There's also the community that forms of people that have the same bet as you.
Right. It's so funny. Like, no one there is a Red Wings fan, but they're all rooting for the Red Wings. You know? It's great.
I like, too, when you're on the tables and you're playing for a long, long time and maybe you're protecting some winnings. And then I got to go to a WATP show. It's good to have things to get you off the tables when you're there. So it works both ways anyway. Vegas is always a blast. So anyway, okay, so great stuff. And we'll we'll be watching this week for WATP and Who Are These Socials and all that stuff.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
Thank
Good
you,
to see ya.
Karl.